So how do I get these my math sine cosine graphs to work? Um, well, I looked at the equation here. Let me get the pointer going. So I see that the amplitude was 2. I see the midline was -3, and then they're telling me the b number is pi over 2, and I know sine graphs have a period of 2 pi. So I took 2 pi divided by b, and I rewrote it and took the reciprocal, and then of course the pi's cancel out, so that left me a period of 4. And then I get to decide, do I want to use this graphing tool here or this graphing tool here? And the reason I'm going with this one, do you see how that has that dot on the midline? And that's how we're sines and cosine graphs. We're starting the midline. So what I'm going to do is choose that graph, and I'm going to click on this. The midline is -3. So, and there's no left-right shift. There's no phase shift. So I can just go down the y-axis until I come to -3 and click on it. And then it lets me move over, and see how it lets me tweak the amplitude. And then what I got to do is I got to make sure here. Let me go back to the pointer where I am just on the pointer. So the period is 4. So I have to make sure that it goes up, down, and back up at 4. I think this is right. It's got the amplitude of 2. Let's see if it likes it. Okay, and it did like it. So that's what I do. So maybe the trick you're having, the trouble you're having is deciding whether you use this one, which works for cosine functions, or this one, which works for sine functions. We can just go see here. So I see an amplitude of, let's see, so I see an amplitude of -3. So it's been reflected around the x-axis, right? Amplitude of 3, or I should have said the amplitude was 3. It's been reflected around the x-axis. And then get the period. Well, that's going to be, I won't write it out here, but 2 pi, well, I guess I could write it out here. So 2 pi, because sometimes this gives people a hard time. So let's see, I know the amp equals 3. It's been reflected around the x-axis, reflect. And to get the period, I'm going to do 2 pi divided by 1 over 3, which becomes 2 pi over 1 times 3 over 1, which is 6 pi. So that's the period. And because it's a cosine graph, I'm going to use this other tool. Here, let me come back and get a pointer. Or maybe I can get this pointer. I can use that other tool. I'm going to start, and it's no left-right shift. So for amplitude, now cosine graphs start either above or below the midline. So that's why we choose this one. And because the amplitude is 3 and the midline is 0, because it's 0 there, I'm just going to come down here to -3, put my first point there. And now it's got an amplitude of +3. So that tells me I got to go above the midline, which is y equals 0 to there. And then I get to decide, am I over far enough? And I see a repeat of 6 pi. So here, let me get there. So what I did is I knew it started here, it maxed out, it zeroed out, and maxed out, and minimized out, and that's where it repeats again and is repeating at 6 pi. Okay, so I didn't start in the midline here. I started down below, and I knew it's been reflected. So let's see if that gets it to me right. Get me right. And did. Okay, so cosine for the first graph, sine for the second graph, second tool. I hope that helps you out.